You ever have one of those days where everything seems normal, just another Saturday in suburban Atlanta? A little sunshine, a crowded mall, the hum of people buying stuff they probably don't need, and then, out of nowhere, you find yourself smack in the middle of a nightmare you didn't see coming? Yeah, that happened. 16-year-old Zora Manning walked into Westfield Mall like she had 1,000 times, rocking her NASA t-shirt and a head full of ideas about her AP chemistry project, probably thinking more about electron flow than shopping. She wasn't some troublemaker top of her class, plans for med school, the kind of kid every parent brags about. But none of that mattered when she stepped into Electromax, hunting for parts, because the second she started browsing, the clerk's eyes pinned her like she was some kind of criminal in disguise. You know what I mean? The feeling where you're being watched, but not in a good way. Zora did what any kid raised right would do. She explained herself, showed her list, her school ID, smiled politely, tried to defuse the tension. Didn't work. The clerk kept shadowing her, acting like every move she made was suspect. And then, right when she almost had everything for her solar energy project, all hell broke loose. A woman with nails sharp enough to scratch glass started shrieking about her brand new iPhone, accusing Zora on the spot. No evidence, no hesitation, just straight to blaming the black kid in the store. The store manager swooped in. Security guards moved like they were waiting for this exact script. And before Zora could blink, big hands clamped down on her arms, their grips way too tight for a teenager who's never so much as jaywalked. As they marched her through the mall past families, teens, ice cream cones melting on hands, all she felt was humiliation burning hotter than the grip on her wrists. Nobody saw the straight-A student, the kid with dreams. They saw a suspect, and it didn't matter what she said or how she said it. The security office felt colder than a prison cell, and soon enough, Officer Reeves from the Atlanta PD showed up, carrying that smug little smile like a badge. He barely looked at her, only at the manager and the accuser. Zora tried again to explain. She offered to call her teacher to show her project notes, but Reeves wasn't having it. Dumped her bag, scattered her stuff everywhere. And when he found nothing, he just doubled down. "Where'd you hide it?" he growled. "No." Answer would have satisfied him. Karen, the accuser, snorted. These people always work in groups, the kind of thing that sticks like poison in the air, and nobody said a word. Reeves slapped handcuffs on Zora's wrists so tight they drew blood. She winced. "They're cutting me," she whispered. He ignored her. She tried to stay calm, the way her mom had taught her. "I want to call my mother," she said. "It's my right." Reeves leaned in, all sarcasm. "Who's your mother? Someone important?" Zora's answer? "Colonel Vanessa Manning. She serves at the Pentagon." You could hear the laughter from outside the walls. "Right," he sneered, "and my dad's the president." Let me back up. SEC Zora's mom isn't just some officer. She's the first black woman in Delta Force, carries scars and medals you'll never hear about on the news. But more than that, she's a mother who's taught her kid to survive a world that judges before it listens. When the call came in, Vanessa was in a Pentagon briefing, but the second she heard her daughter's voice, controlled, scared, but not broken, she shifted from soldier to mom in one heartbeat. "I'm coming," she promised. "Stay calm. Give them nothing." Vanessa made calls on the way. General Hayes, her CO, Major Williams, the family's attorney, Captain Rodriguez, her old friend in military police. She coordinated like a battlefield mission, but when she got out of the car, she left the uniform behind. She wanted to see how they'd treat just another black mother. Walking through that mall, her presence turned heads. You couldn't tell from her clothes, but the authority was unmistakable. Decades of command, a spine straight as a rifle barrel. Inside the security office, Vanessa saw her daughter cuffed, bleeding, surrounded by people who looked everywhere but her eyes. "Remove those handcuffs," she said, her voice calm but cutting. Reeves barely glanced up. "Ma'am, your daughter's being detained, standard procedure." Vanessa dropped her military ID on the table. "Colonel, Special Forces, Pentagon clearance." "Remove them. Now." The room went silent, but Reeves, desperate to maintain control, refused. Then Vanessa started asking questions. "Where's the security footage? Why haven't you checked it?" The manager stumbled. Karen, suddenly pale, avoided everyone's gaze. "Twist. Major Williams and Captain Rodriguez arrived, not just as legal backup, but as a show of force. Rodriguez had a medical kit for Zora's wrists and a tablet with records. Reeves had a dozen complaints for excessive force, mostly against minorities. The police chief arrived soon after, and the room's mood flipped like a switch. Meanwhile, Karen's purse started buzzing. She dug inside and, well, you know it, out came the missing iPhone, the stolen one. The room froze. Vanessa's voice never rose. "Is that your phone, Miss Thompson? Or do you have two?" Karen fumbled, stammered about mistakes, but it was game over. But here's where it really got messy, because justice isn't just about catching one liar. The security footage showed Karen targeting Zora, passing over other kids. Mall records showed she'd made false accusations before. Store manager Wilson tried to delete evidence, but was stopped thanks to a whistleblower, Brad, a security guard who'd had enough. Turns out, he had recordings of meetings where management told staff to profile certain shoppers. Now the story was out: news crews, social media, a crowd forming outside, some shouting for justice, others grumbling about overreactions. Back at the hospital, a black doctor recognized Zora from the science fair. Her classmates sent supplies for a project. Teachers stepped up, but the pushback was real. Media hit pieces questioned Zora's character. Scholarship committees hesitated. Their house was vandalized. Even Vanessa's career took a hit. But the resistance grew. Veterans guarded their house. Civil rights lawyers lined up. Even the community started to shift. Students at school whispered. Some supported Zora, others turned cold. But when a security guard handed Zora a thumb drive with all the real footage untampered, Raywit was clear they had the truth. Reeves, cornered, tried to arrest Vanessa. The chief intervened, stripped his badge, and the tide turned. Karen's history of false accusations came out. The mall and Electromax faced lawsuits. Vanessa and Zora refused private settlements that would silence them and wanted real change. Their case drew national attention, with new policies, training, and oversight in retail, police, even schools. Zora's friends organized support groups. More victims came forward, and the movement snowballed. In court, Zora testified with a calm that broke through the defense's cheap attacks. "I realized no matter what I achieved, some people would always see me as suspicious," she said. Her mother spoke about serving her country and coming home to see her daughter bleed in handcuffs. Judge Peterson ruled decisively. Officer Reeves guilty, suspended. Karen Thompson convicted, community service. Electromax and the mall ordered to overhaul practices, establish a scholarship fund in Zora's name, and compensate other victims. That day wasn't about revenge, it was about making sure nobody else would have to go through the same hell. Zora stood at a podium a year later, her name on a scholarship for minority students, in the same mall where she'd been humiliated. "Real change isn't about punishing one person," she said. "It's about transforming the system." The community had shifted. Security guards like Brad led anti-bias trainings. The school reinstated Zora's scholarship. Her principal apologized publicly, and the ripple effect reached farther than anyone could have guessed. Even some who doubted her changed their minds, seeing how much good came from one kid and her mom refusing to stay silent. So, let me ask you, what would you have done? Would you have taken the settlement and moved on, or would you have stood up and fought, even when it got ugly, even when the world seemed to turn against you? Because sometimes the hardest path is the only one that leads anywhere worth going. Drop a comment below, tell us your story, your struggle, your moment of standing up or wishing you had. Like this video if you've ever seen injustice and wondered what you could do. Subscribe for more stories that don't just talk about problems, they show what it means to face them head on. And if you're still wondering if one person can make a difference, just remember Zora and her mom. When good people refuse to be silent, systems change. When you fight for justice, you fight for everyone who comes after you. Thanks for listening in. Don't ever forget, sometimes the only way to make necessary trouble is to refuse to accept the world as it is and push it to become what it ought to be.